It's Peps, it's J-Dog, it's lace-out time, and how good is it for football to be back live in front of fans in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth and Adelaide for the first time in 2021. It's great to have you here again, and look, without you, the listeners, the watchers, everybody who's following Lace Out, we wouldn't have a show without you. So first and foremost, thank you very much. But not just the audience. I can't do this superstar show without my superstar co-host. And you know who he is. His name's Jamie Wallace. We know him as the J-Dog. Jamie, you'd be a very, very happy man right about now with your Port Adelaide crew.
Picking up where 2020 left off for us, really. I mean, it's just another day of normality for us Port Adelaide supporters. We're kind of used to this. So nothing really to crow home about, nothing really to talk about. But perhaps more importantly, am I talking to you? Because I have no idea, because what's happened is you've left the round one ladder up between us. I can't even see your face right now. The audience is having a terrible time.
There's no ladder in front of us.
Yeah, there is.
Not on the screen.
Ask away. Ask the participants of this podcast tonight and let them...
Listeners, tell me if you can see any banners or anything with a... What is it called? An AFL ladder in front of you. I can't see anything, mate.
Well, I'm just letting you know. So if I can't see, there we go. That's better.
Is that better? Oh, it's good to see your face.
No,
it's a podcast.
Now I've got the 2021 ladder in front of me, the AFLW ladder.
Is that off now?
No, it's still on.
What about now?
Oh, finally.
All righty. Beautiful.
Jesus.
Jeez, this is good radio for the people listening. This is good radio. All right, how are you feeling, mate? Round one, Port Adelaide did what they had to do. How did you see the first week of footy? Were you excited? Were you riveted? Give us your perceptions on it, and give the listeners out there what they want.
Sure, I loved it. This is probably one of the best first rounds of a season that I can remember for a very, very long time. There was the drama of the surprise results. There was the drama of the people who should have been retired coming back and roaring to life. There was the return of scores. We're going to talk about that.
Yes.
There was a return of crowds. There was the return of...
the Jedi.
The Oscar McDonald becoming one of the top-rated draft pickups.
How was that? Melbourne are targeting him in the draft next year.
You got rid of the wrong one.
We got rid of the wrong one. I don't think we did after what the other one did on the weekend.
Yeah, true. No, I was what a great week of football. Really good week of football.
It was a cracking week of football. While we're at it, let's get the ladder up so we can see how the week finished off. What an absolute belter. Port Adelaide on top. West Coast, the Demons, and Sydney, Richmond, Western Bulldogs. I didn't think I'd see this. Adelaide Crows and St Kilda rounding up the top 8, and then everybody else. Hawthorn also getting a win. How they did that, I've got no idea, but maybe we can have some insight of that. And then everybody else is after that. But it was a cracking game, and it just goes to show that one simple rule change has just opened it up so much. And there's people that we, by the way, listen to Tipped Out, our sister program where we give our tips every single week. Don't really take much notice of them because we got it completely wrong. I got it wrong. No.
I got it right.
What did you? No, well, I said that. Well, I tipped Essendon at one stage. I was looking very, very good. But it looked at one stage that it was going to be a hungy. I actually said that the Adelaide game could be a hungy point loss. They've come out and absolutely smacked Geelong. Dad's Army got an absolute running around, and they're going to be in some serious trouble. I don't care what anybody says. After one game, I am concerned. And then to go and see what Sydney did up against Brisbane, I thought that would be another formality. They picked them apart as well too. So there were two brilliant wins on the weekend, and then we could even go down as far as what Hawthorn did in the second half of that game.
Yeah,
40-odd points down to come back over Essendon. Geez, there's going to be some questions asked already about Essendon. We're going to talk about a few other clubs as well, but have they got the right man in charge? I said it last year. He's one to watch, Ben Rutten, that, there were some rumblings. No one wanted to listen to me. But even after 1 week, 40 points up, they went to absolute snooze fest and let Tommy Mitchell run around and rack up 16 in a quarter. It was It was brilliant. So lots of positives to come out of it and some teams that really need to have a good, hard look at themselves too. But there's plenty to discuss, and that's what we're here for. So let's start into it. So, J-Dog, I think it's time to go around the grounds and have a bit of a chat. So tell me, mate, where do you want to start with the news of the week?
Let's start with the scores, the glorious scores. Peps, I want to start there because I think that was the real highlight of this week was the return of teams kicking more than 90 points in a game.
It was brilliant to watch, and it wasn't just a couple of points. There were some really nice scores being kicked, and that was like even from a Sydney perspective, a team that we would have sat back and said they don't score heavily. They've come out against an all-conquering Brisbane. They've kicked 19 goals, 11, 125. Richmond have kicked 15. Port Adelaide have kicked 17. West Coast kicked 12. Essendon kicked 13 and Hawthorn 14. Adelaide, a team that couldn't get a kick in a street fight last year, have come out and had 28 shots on goal in total. Even Brisbane, when they lost, have kicked 14. So it has opened up scoring. And how much better was it to see the ball going through the big sticks, not being bundled up, the congestion's thinned out quite a fair bit, people using the corridor, not wanting to go around the boundary. It was so refreshing. And for anybody who went to the game, let us know on the chat because it was just brilliant to see the way football is going. So, yeah, awesome stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose the big takeaway from it all was you, Peps, don't have to call you up in round 2 already of this season, but you were a naysayer against the rules.
Yep.
It's unlocked the game, mate. It looks like it's unlocked the game.
Yeah, I must admit, I think when I first saw it a couple of times, I thought, this is just completely stupid, this stand. I think the whole stand where they have to tell them to stand, that just seems really juvenile. It's like what you talk to, kids in a classroom. Stand. All right, that's the thing that blow the whistle. They blow the whistle and it goes, stand. And it's just, gives me the shits when I hear it.
Peps, I'm just reading the comment. My goodness, Peps.
And
one of our friends in Adelaide, one of our podcast friends in Adelaide, and you didn't even know who you're looking at.
No, and the reason why is because his full name has come up, Nicholas Wolfric Nick Thiel, and I just know him as Nick. I didn't picture the name. Well, there's so many followers of this great podcast. You know what? He's definitely one of the Portress boys, so I definitely take that back because their interview and their season preview was bar none one of the best that we dealt with. There's just so many people who just love Lace Out at the moment that it's hard to keep up with all our followers. So I do apologise for that. But the game has been so much better. Yeah, the game is so much better. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. I'm willing to have another serve of humble pie because I think we're both due for it with a couple of our predictions last week. But yeah, the game is so much better watching it just move, darting in and out, the run, the carry. If you've got a slow team or an old team, you're going to be in for a long 2021 season.
Yep. And I mean, it was strange seeing effectively that player on the mark just get run around. Like they were ineffective. But yeah, so that was probably the one thing that got me a little bit like, oh, this is a bit weird. But we were stressing about the 50-metre penalties being played from players walking over the mark or moving 1 or 2 foot left or right here. I think I saw maybe 3 or 4 of those throughout the whole round, which is...
Yeah, there were a couple of howlers, but there wasn't many, like out of all the decisions that were made, there wasn't that many at all, which is good. It seemed almost they gave them a little bit of wiggle room as well to sort of set themselves beforehand. We'll like to see whether they really loosen it up over the next few weeks or they stick to the stringiness of it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would like to see though, and this has come up a couple of times on the commercial stations for those who listen to it, but you get all the good news here at Lace Out, is one of the things that I'd like to see is that if you're in your own forward 50, if you are a man on the mark and they are having a shot at goal, that you are allowed to move left and right because you want to try and put them off. When you're standing there, you're virtually a guiding point just to kick over their head and it's going to go straight through. So I'd probably like to see a bit of that. Yeah. Just a small tweak on the rule from that perspective. But outside of that, I can't fault that. You didn't see many short kicks coming out of full back with that extra 5 metres that's been given to the person standing on the mark for a kick out too. So that short kick has almost become obsolete. A lot more balls going deep into the centre of the ground.
Absolutely.
So it has definitely opened it up. And I'd probably even say the interchange, which has been one that Kevin Bartlett's been going on since the dinosaur years about, the more rotations that you have, it opens the game up because it was really good to see midfielders moving down forward. Dusty, Petrarca, Isaac Heaney, these guys who, are gun midfielders who would usually sit on the bench, we're leaving them out there because we know that they can make a difference on the scoreboard. So it was a really awesome week of games to be part of and to watch as well. And we're really going to get into them and have a bit of a chat about some of the games and what's really come out of it. But I think if we really want to talk about, I reckon the biggest hitting point, and no pun intended, was coming out of the Adelaide Geelong game, Patrick Dangerfield and his report for the bump. We do have a verdict in. It has come through just before the podcast has gone live, and he has been found guilty by the tribunal, and he is going to be getting the next 3 weeks leave. So he will not be playing for the next 3 games, which I'm sort of happy about because we're the third game. Melbourne play Geelong in round 5. Round 4, so we're quite happy that he's not playing against us. So it's just another one of those games that we're expected to win, and now we'll probably lose it by about 10 goals.
Yeah. So that's a great segue into our next point then, Peps. If we go around the grounds with our news.
Yep.
The next natural question is the bump dead? Has that result or this result coming out of the tribunal resulted in the bump no longer being an option for a player who is attacking the path ball?
No. I still think you can still have the bump.
Okay.
But it's a choice. It is a choice. Is the bump dead? No, the bump is not dead. And I know none of the listeners out there now and the people listening to this on the podcast, on Spotify or Apple podcasts, etc., they're probably going to say, no, the bump is not dead. You can still bump. Okay? You just got to make sure that you just do it in such a way that you miss the head.
Is it worth it, though? Because it comes back to 100% on the player choosing to bump.
Yep.
Is going to take that risk on. So are coaches going to be instructing players from now on to do anything other than bump? Are they going to be saying tackle? Are they going to say maybe try just swat the ball out? Is this going to be? Are we going to see the natural death of the bump being dead? The natural death of the bump because the penalty is too high if it goes wrong.
No, I don't think so at all. I think that there's going to be times where you have to bump. There's no two ways about it.
Why do you have to bump? Why?
Because the reaction time to get your arms around somebody is going to be it's not going to be quick enough. And there's going to be times where your body is not in the position to tackle. You have to brace yourself. The thing that Danger did differently is that if you actually have a look at that, he actually launched himself at him. He didn't stand. I know he goes, if you played at 30 frames a second and all that jazz, I get all of that. But what it was is he actually launched himself at the player.
Yeah.
That's as soon as you sort of towards go off the ground. Now, I think a lot of people are a little bit peeved about was what Zach Williams did a week earlier, where he only got a week for that because he wasn't concussed. So it's once again the AFL going along the lines of the outcome and the injury rather than the action itself.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me what Joe Danaher got when he just got a fine for throwing his elbow back. Shouldn't have been constituted as a strike. Like that's not in play. You don't train to throw elbows. You train to bump, you train to tackle, you train to kick, you train to mark, all that sort of. He knew what he was doing. So for him to only get a fine, how do you expect to say the head's sacrosanct when stuff like that happens?
I think that's probably scratching out a bigger issue around striking and hits and stuff like that. Because I do agree. I do agree. I mean, it's funny how we are happy to give players a fine for punching someone in the guts or wherever it is. But we're happy to take 3 weeks off someone's season for an accidental bump. In this case,
it wasn't accidental, Jamie. Come on, mate. It wasn't accidental.
Well, but I don't think
the guy. No. It doesn't matter. He went to bump. There was no two ways about it. The guy was running at him with the ball in his hands. Kelly had the ball for, I'd say, at least 10 metres before he got to danger. So it wasn't just that he picked it up and hit him. He saw him running at him and he decided to bump. It's as simple as that. All right?
Peps.
He could have tackled. I'm getting fired up because...
I'm not fighting with you
because... You're freaking not be fighting with me because...
No, I'm with
wrong.
you. I'm with you.
I will bump you and I will shatter you.
But I'm saying that the people out there...
Days of your bodybuilding rig are gone.
the days of the bump, everyone goes bump, bump, bump. That's a thing. But if you clash heads, is it an accident?
But that's the risk that you run.
Okay.
If you kick a ball towards the boundary and it rolls out of bounds, that's the risk that you run. If you rush a ball through the goals, that's the risk. Everything has risk and reward. If you risk it for the biscuit, you're either going to bite it or go hungry.
But that's what I'm saying is he didn't intend to knock him out and have a head clash. It was an accident as opposed to turning and punching someone in the gut.
No, don't get me wrong.
One is a result of what's happened. It's a collision sport. That's what it is. And one is an intention to actually punch someone in the gut.
Yeah, I guess his intention was to hurt. His intention was to bump.
I agree, but I'm just saying the people out there saying that, it was an accident. He didn't mean to bump heads.
Well, I know. It doesn't mean to bump heads, but that's, you know what? I didn't mean to run into the other guy's car, but I did, and the other person got injured. That wasn't my intent, but it happened. It happens through our life, mate. Things happen, you know. I didn't mean to put that $1,000 on the roulette table, but it did, and I lost it. Now I've got to go home and tell my wife. Like, these sort of things happen all the time. That doesn't happen with me, but
so Peps,
there's consequences to your actions.
Will coaches instruct their players no longer to bump?
I don't think that they can tell them not to. Because if he hasn't got the ball, you can't tackle them. So you have to bump them. And even when they do bump them, they call that a tackle, and then they give a free kick and the guy kicks a goal and wins the game, like we saw in GWS.
Yeah. I think we're going to start. I'm believing the point. I reckon that we're going to see the bump phase out of this game.
Yep.
I think that maybe not now, maybe not in the next couple of years, but I definitely think through the maybe under 12s upwards, they're going to start coaching to no longer bump.
Yeah, no, so one of our loyal viewers, Joel Michael, says he disagreed with the impact was severe. He's ended up with a concussion and a broken nose. What more do you want? You want brain? You want spinal fluid running out of his nose? Like you bumped, mate. Like it's
round 2. You already get stuck into our supporters.
I see what Danger did worse than what Gaff did to Brayshaw, because if you have a look at the Gaff one, he actually went to punch him in the elbow or punch him in the shoulder, and it went up and hit him in the face. That's what happened on that one. This was a bump, so I can't split the two. But once again, you throw a punch and you hit him. That's the issue. I actually think why Danger wanted 3 weeks, and Joel, funny enough, has actually come up with the reason why, and it was simply this: because he knew he was playing against Cozzy Pickett in a few weeks' time, and he wanted a 3rd week to be added just so he wouldn't have to put up with him. I think that is the smartest thing, Joel, that you have said all night so far. So keep the messages coming through, because I reckon you're right on the money about that one.
Look, the next question comes naturally from this as well, is the bump maybe not being dead, but what about the high-flying marks of the knees are in the back of the head and someone's concussed? Dan Houston, for example. We're talking about, you've just mentioned the point, someone was concussed. So why is that not treated the same way?
Oh, come on, Jamie. What, we're going to turn this into touch football, are we? Don't try and poke the bear, mate. You know that's a stupid question, and you know the answer's ridiculous.
Why are you getting angry about it for?
Because it's part of the game. It's part of the game.
One was an accident, and one's part of the game. Aren't they both part of the game?
What was an accident?
The Dangerfield.
Are you freaking... Can we move on to another topic? Because if you keep saying that was an accident, he deliberately went to bump him.
He didn't bump his head, though. He didn't want to bump his head. He went to bump his body, his shoulder.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you go and take a mark, if you go and take a hanger and you knock the guy on the back of the head, well, so be it. That's part of the game.
We may have to agree to disagree, Peps.
We are going to agree to disagree, and you're wrong. That's as simple as it gets, okay? All right. And everybody knows. And, yes, Dangerfield apparently hired Johnny Cochran as his lawyer.
Oh, Peps.
Good luck. Oh, jeez, I tell you what, we have the best listeners here as well too.
We do.
All right. So that's the first thing that we're talking about is danger. All right. So I think I think we're going to agree to disagree that that's one of the things as well too. All right. One of the things that we brought up last week was the injury sub. Now, this was something that I said no to, I think, last week. I think you were in a similar type of boat.
No.
I think now we've seen after one round that it was rushed through. It's a stupid rule. They've completely stuffed it up and they've painted themselves into a corner because it's something like 5 of the injury subs that we had last week are trying to play again this week.
Yeah.
There's got to be a hard and fast rule. Like you either have it for one or you don't have it at all. So we know if it's a concussion, they can't play for 12 days. I reckon if you get injury subbed, it's 12 days.
Right. I don't mind that because I think I've never seen so many players limping off the ground because they got a soft tissue injury.
No, soft tissue, 12 days.
And it always was somewhere between the second and the third quarter, somewhere in that sort of area. All of them. It's amazing.
And if you have a look in the Thursday night game, when the 2 injury subs came on, especially Ross for Richmond, he was running twice the speed of everybody else.
Yeah.
And so the fresh legs made a massive difference. Massive difference. And so it's not meant to be that way. I understand why they brought it in for the concussion. I get that. Yeah. But you've got 4 on the bench. If you lose one, like stiff bickies. That's part of the game. We say it is a war of attrition. It is there's nothing better than when you've got 2 on the bench, they've got 4 and you outplay them. Think about Connor Downey. A great comment made here. Connor Downey debuted as an injury sub, doesn't go on at all. He gets paid for it and gets credited a game. Like, how many stupid aspects of this do not make sense?
Yeah.
He's credited at a game, doesn't step on, he gets paid. If he never plays a game, he could be the only player to ever be played a game and never actually get onto the field, yet get paid for it and be accredited for it. There's been plenty of games where I actually stood on the field and didn't get a possession at all. Happened many times, trust me. All right, when you're playing 377 for the single greatest local football club ever, which is East Keilor, mind you, Heath Shaw's playing for us. There's going to be 1 or 2 games where you don't get a kick. But I still get that game accredited to me because I was on the field. I think you have to make it on the field. And you're right, debutants shouldn't have to sit through that crap either.
No.
A debutant shouldn't have to be on as a your first game.
You got your friends from school, your family are there, everyone's there, travel to see you. And as I said, a perfect example, poor old Connor here didn't get a shot. So he's got 1 game against his name. He's made his debut already. His whole family's there sitting there waiting for him to take the field at some stage.
Yep.
Did
you see how embarrassing it was for him to sing the song in the middle of the group?
Yeah.
And come on in, he's like, I didn't do anything. It's like, come on, we'll throw the gator on you, but I didn't do anything. So when he gets his first win on the field, they put him in again and throw more Gatorade over him? It's a waste of Gatorade. Okay. I don't like it. I just think that, and here's the thing, this is the thing that annoys me as well. The AFL will go, look, we can't actually change it at the moment. We have to wait until the end of the season because we don't want it to affect any games. Well, you brought a bloody rule in 1 day before the first game. You can change it when you want there, Mr. Hocking. Anytime you want. So don't say you have to look into it. Just say it's concussion and that's it. That's what it's for. It's a concussion sub and that's it. Or you just get rid of it and have, if somebody gets knocked out, too bad, too sad. Because I heard on the radio again, imagine if it was the first, if it was in the grand final and one goes off for concussion, one gets injured, you 1 player short. Hey, you know what? Stiff. Like, football's not meant to be, well, we have the same amount of players on both sides at all times.
See, I'm not for the concussion either though, because that's the grand final is the perfect excuse where you could use it and have no consequences coming back at you. Because you're not playing the week after. You're not playing the week after that.
Yeah, you've actually got a really good point there. I think you've got a really good point, which is really not that often for you, but that's good. Hey, that's good. No, I don't agree with it. And I think the consensus out there is I think they have rushed it through a little bit too quick, and They really need to find that balance between what works and what doesn't. So I don't know how they're going to do it. AFL, you've painted yourselves into a corner. Good luck. You're probably going to need maybe Van Gogh or Da Vinci to paint you out of it as well too. Maybe they could get those, those people that restore the paintings.
Yep.
Maybe they could get one of the
scratch away.
Yeah, scratch away and maybe find some sort of bit of sensibility within it. All right.
Either go 2014 or just scrap it.
I just scrap it, man. Scrap it. Hey, the interesting thing about this as well too, we're talking about scrapping things. Can you believe after one round there are clubs who are saying our season is in crisis already? Once again, if we go back to it, they're saying Carlton's season was in tatters. And by you, here's another sub-question that I haven't got planned, but I'm going to throw this one at you a moment. Carlton always play in Richmond. You're always going to go 1-0. Simple, okay? Collingwood, well, they got absolutely smashed by the Bulldogs, slow. That's what happens when you get three of your fastest players and trade them off to another club to keep a ruckman that is overrated and has done nothing. And the good thing is you've got him for another 7 years on $1 million each. Remember Treloar, apparently the senior players didn't like you. And Geelong, well, you knew that you hired Dad's Army. There were 9 players for Geelong on the weekend over the age of 30. Mm-hmm. East Killers twos. We had an average age of about 29.
Yeah.
We didn't have that many over 30. You'd be stupid. That is ridiculous.
We saw the result.
And you saw the result. So I think they've got a reason to be in crisis. Out of the two of them, I think Carlton's the one that doesn't need to be in crisis. I think the other two definitely need to be in crisis because one's slow, and the other one is paid big money to a guy that is a shell of himself from a couple of years ago, who's got beaten up by Steph Martin, and Tim English just ran him all around the ground.
And Tim English,
and you got him for another 7 years. What were you thinking?
It was weird to see Tim English, all the attributes you talk about. What's his name? God, I have gone completely blank. What's the Collingwood ruckman again?
Brody Grundy.
Sorry, bro. I was thinking Brady. I don't know what's that.
Man Buns Grundy. Yeah, Man Buns. Yep.
Now it's Cornrows.
Cornrows. Yep.
So
Whoopi. Let's call him Whoopi Grundy.
Apparently, he is amazing around the ground and makes possession all over the ground. Well, no, Tim English actually ran him all over the ground. His great body work. Well, no, Tim English actually bodied him out everywhere he went.
I've seen better body work in a morgue.
Marking ability overhead. No, Tim English actually smashed him overhead.
His ruck work, Stephen Martin took him to the cleaners.
It was a shocker. He had an absolute mare for the first game of the season.
Yeah, and I hope he has a mare for the rest of the year, and then Collingwood realise that you've made a mistake because you've sacrificed 4 players off your list for this bloke.
Just a quick check though, was there a reference to Pendles and his basketball background in the game?
Probably when he's their best player. So if anyone listens out there, let me know if there was a reference to Pendles and his basketball background. It's the Bruce McAvaney special of AFL comments. It's going to be there. It's also going to be something like Christian Petrarca knows Ben Simmons. That one comes up every week.
Oh yeah,
yep. Everybody's got one. Matt Rowell, number 1 draft pick, an absolute gun, a mature body for such a young guy. Oh, by the way, can I just quickly say, I don't think there was anything more upsetting from a purist's perspective to see Matt Rowell go down again. Yeah. I just hope he's not going to be one of these footballers who has the world at his feet but will never be able to bend down and reach it because his body is just falling apart.
Yep.
It's such a shame to see what we saw last year, and also not just for him but for Gold Coast because they are moving. They played an absolute ripper of a game against West Coast over there and just fell away right towards the end of the game. Yeah, a young team over there in Perth. It's hard to beat. Oscar Allen taught them an absolute new one. So, but yeah, it was just sad to see him go down. And if you watch what they're doing on the Making a Mark documentary on Amazon, the Gold Coast, they've got a lot of young guys there. They're all pushing the right way. Stewie Jew just suits them to a T. He's got a nice fatherly figure to them. The guys want to play for him. They want success. A lot of them are signed up to play there. They're not just moving along what they have.
Yep.
They're actually in a better position than the GWS.
And
to see this guy go down who you know is potentially your future captain, that's tough to swallow. So, our hearts go out to him.
PCL for him, unfortunately.
Well, it's better than an ACL. So I don't know how many weeks I've said for a PCL. If you give you some indication, if anyone can let us know what a PCL recovery takes, that'd be great. But, it's a shame to sort of see it. So, fingers crossed he gets back a lot quicker as well too. All right. Hey, something else that I want to quickly throw to you, and I haven't presented this one in relation to a bit of news of the week, but Richmond Carlton, they've got to stop playing that as the opening game of the season now, can't they? Like, Carlton haven't won that for a decade.
What? I know, but the games always seem to be, well, more recently seem to be close until the fourth quarter.
Listen, they were going to get rid of Melbourne on Queen's birthday because Melbourne weren't performing.
Makes sense.
They got rid of the Western Bulldogs North Melbourne game on Good Friday because of low crowds, etc. Carlton haven't turned up for the first round of the season for the last 10 years, yet they, for some reason, still think that people want to watch it. They want a big crowd there, but people are actually interested in the game. That's what we want to see. Shouldn't you just play a replay of the grand final on the first game of the year?
But wouldn't it be great if Carlton did beat them?
They will not beat them. They're not going to beat them for probably another 2 years. So it's just another 2 years of formality.
Yeah.
Make it round 2 for all I care.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time. You can't honestly tell me you thought that Carlton had any chance of winning that game on the weekend.
I thought up to a point they had a chance.
What point was that? When the first siren rang and they walked onto the field?
No, the games have the last three years. The games have been close until about the halfway mark.
Bullshit. They were over halfway through the third quarter, Jamie. Don't try and sugarcoat this. Mind you, Carlton were a lot better this year. I will say that, but they had no chance of beating them. Richmond are just too slick. Sam Walsh, I will say though, he's nice. And when I just did the Carlton, one the other day with Terry from Blue Abroad. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that pre-season preview or season preview, it's an absolute ripper. Up on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or all your favorite podcast stores. And he said that he would take Walsh over Cripps any day of the week. He reckons that by the end of the year, he will be Carlton's best player. And after what he did on the weekend, he's probably not wrong.
Yeah.
Outside of Oscar McDonald, then you power forward. Us Melbourne supporters, how did we get that one wrong? We kept the wrong one.
Oh, dear. That was actually pretty funny.
That was pretty funny. All righty. So once again, we've got to spin the magnets. We haven't spun the magnets yet. So, Jamie, have you got your 3 votes for the first round? But before we start, let's bring back an old favourite of ours.
3 votes.
All right.
Who have you got?
Well, we're going to go 1 or we're going to go 3 at the top?
Just go 1, 2, 3.
All right. No, I haven't thought about it, actually, to be honest with you.
Just go with it.
Sheet. All right.
Not that hard, mate. Like, if you think about it.
Number 1 for me. Number 1 was seeing Port Adelaide have a win. I'm going to be biased there.
Yeah, it's a low-hanging fruit, that one. Jeez, you put a lot of thought into that one.
Oh, I told you I have nothing planned for this. Number 2, for me, the emergence of the Swannies.
Ooh,
go, boys.
Have they got some guns?
Yeah. I really like that. I really like the fact that they managed to score over 100 points. Like, you never say the Swans score over 100. You haven't said that for the last 20 years.
They had 30 shots at goal. They kicked 19-11.
I know.
That was the last time they kicked over 100 points. Was 19-11.
So that was amazing to see that. Number 3 for me, I know it's going to be coming from a Port Adelaide supporter, which is very, very controversial, but it was great to see Tex Walker. It was. He is, and I know that we spoke about it. He should just give it away last year. Everyone was saying he should have gave it away, but he just couldn't miss on the weekend.
Do you know what I loved about some of his goals? There were a couple of them outside 50, and they were just the old Tex layback on the left, and as soon as it left his foot, he was jogging back to the goal square as if to say, fellas, set up the 666 because it was just sensational. By the way, Craig has just gone, hand back your membership. because of you being a Port Adelaide supporter. Look, listen, Craig, look, I know that you're a very passionate Port Adelaide member and supporter, and you're part of the Portress. You've just got to give credit where credit's due. He played a sensational game, so don't say things like that. Like, you know, we embrace everybody. We embrace 18 clubs, not just one. Okay, so here's my three votes. All right. So the first one was Hawthorn beating Essendon. I was rapt to see Essendon up at 40 points at halftime, and the amount of Hawthorn supporters. One of my mates, good old Heath Buxton, basically threw out and said, so is there going to be a 19th position? And I didn't understand what he was talking about until I checked the score. And then by the end of it, we knew this was coming. How good are we? Yada, yada. And then on the flip side, Essendon supporters saying how good their team was at halftime. Sack Rutten, get rid of him. Why was he coaching from the bench? We're poo, we're nothing. So it was just brilliant to see another good old-fashioned comeback by these two teams.
To put up there, did you see the post on Facebook from one of the Essendon supporters selling his 5 Essendon jumpers for $50, and all he wants in return is just 30 years of his life back?
Oh, geez, how many Melbourne jumpers do you reckon I could sell for that amount of money? The second thing was to see Tommy McDonald played on the weekend. Now, he had an absolute stink-up in 2019 and 2020. He has come back lean and mean, and he was clunking marks like he was back in 2018. His kicking was back. He's dropped about probably 7 kilos, they reckon. He looks fit. He looks back to what he was when he kicked 50-plus in that season. So if he can do that with Brown and Wiedemann not in the team at the moment, it's going to make a massive difference for Melbourne's first 6 rounds, because he was sensational. He had to target down there, and his hands were so clean, which we haven't seen. And it looks like for a while he was had the turning circle of a Mack truck. Yeah, so he was good. Joel, mate, can we just focus on, don't worry about 15, 16 and 17. He was a backman in those stages. And we moved him forward because he couldn't kick. Now we've put him up forward. So fingers crossed on that. And I have to sort of agree with you. I think the two upsets, the two big upsets with Adelaide over Geelong, which no one saw coming, and if you did see it, you're lying, and Sydney beating Brisbane up there, it just goes to show that regardless of what you see in a preseason and what you think clubs have done, preseason games mean absolutely nothing. It's the first round where football's back. It's just... You know, you see that sort of stuff, and football's back. Like, it was really back. I got to go to a game on the weekend. It's the first time I'd been to the MCG in over 500 days. Yeah, there was only 21,000 of us, which I'll get into one of my bugbears, and that's going to come into my Barassi moment. But it was just good to be there. It was great to scream, be part of it. You know, it was atmosphere, which you just don't get sitting in front of a TV screen. So, yeah, it was like you said earlier, it was just a really awesome round one of football. Okay, so J-Dog, who gets dragged from your perspective?
Haley off, Ellingworth on. Bloody weak as piss.
Spoken about before. I'm going to say Brodie Grundy deserves to get dragged.
He was a spud.
Spudded it up big time.
He spudded it up big time. Do you want me to tell you who mine is?
Sure.
Mine's Ticket Tech.
Oh.
So if anybody tried to get a ticket for the game on the weekend, they wonder why crowds were down and why the Melbourne crowd was down.
It's because no one to go.
No. The fact that you could not just walk up and show your ticket and walk in, you had to go online and book a ticket and sign up and download it to your phone. My dad had no idea what he was doing.
COVID, Peps.
No, that's Jamie. Come on. There's no one in Victoria that has COVID.
COVID
so
safe.
Don't give me that
You got to be COVID aware.
Oh, COVID schmovid, right? Until it breaks out again, just forget it. The MCG's broken up into 5 zones. My daughter's got a bung knee. She's on crutches. We got her a ticket in the wrong area. Thank goodness that she didn't come, because she wouldn't have been able to sit with us. Even though there were 20 people each side of where we were sitting, where there was no one whatsoever. That's why people didn't turn up to the game, because they couldn't just walk up and buy it. If you wanted to buy a ticket on the day, you couldn't even do that.
Sounds like that they're protecting the crowd from the Peppers.
Oh, get stuffed. Right? It's just you wonder why it's difficult. It's because you just can't go in and walk up. Fremantle people couldn't even get across to the game. That's why your crowds are low, is because you've probably locked out 5 to 10,000. Mind you, it was still good only to see 24,000 turn up for the Hawthorn game at Essendon. That's what you get for playing in a shed.
Can I have a side rant?
Go for it.
QR code scanning for COVID stuff, that's just fucked. Like, I hate it. And I love technology, but I hate it. Just give me the paper and sign me in. Don't make me QR code scan, go to a website, fill my details in again. Some other places even have their own QR developed apps. So you got to go in and download them first before you can fill them in. Just far out. Wow. Just give me a bit of paper.
And you just want to go. Like, you just want to go in. And I had to, to buy a drink, you had to COVID sign in. Like, goodness gracious me. Like, it's just got out of control. It's stupid. It's absolutely.
Wasn't Rousey just keeping a check on your beer consumption for the day?
No, because Rousey doesn't go to the football.
Fair
but look at this. Like, one of the guys had to he had to book in the next 3 weeks of tickets. He had to download and book a seat for the next 3 weeks. Like, it's a joke. Just walk in. Nobody's got COVID in Melbourne. Don't care about the other states. We haven't got it. Let us in. Let us be free. We're peacocks. We're peacocks. Let us fly. Yeah. And Jamie, don't they know that you're Jaden Stevenson's dad? By the way, we had a massive, if anyone hasn't seen on our Facebook page, Jamie Wallace and the other Stevenson dude from Jaden Stevenson.
Son.
It's his son. Just have a look at the side by side or above and the tops and tails. If we're wrong, let us know. But the feedback has been 100% across the country that you are Jaden Stevenson's long lost father. All right?
The lack of the lips. We've got no lips. We've both got no lips.
A lack of hairline too. Hey, here's the other thing too. What also came up was, Buzz, we'll have a Tats ticket on this game, Pep. $1 per point. No, a line per point. I don't know. I could be up for like 48 lines. We'll have a Tats ticket on this one, Buzz. All right. Melbourne versus the Saints. I'm on that one big time. All righty. Just a quick whip around the games. I want you to give your one-word analysis on the games that were played on the weekend. Richmond Carlton.
Same.
Melbourne Fremantle.
Crowds.
More, I'd say Darren. Essendon Hawthorn.
Beautiful.
Choke. North Melbourne Port Adelaide.
Glory. Oh, sorry. Orazio.
Fantasia. Expected. West Coast Gold Coast.
Unexpected.
I'd agree with that one. I thought that'd be a lot bigger than what it was. Collingwood and the Bulldogs.
Oh,
satisfying.
Yeah, it was satisfying. You're right. It was pretty good.
Adelaide, Geelong.
Is Dad's Army a hyphen?
For you, we'll call it Dad's Army. I'll say sensational. It was just sensational to see. Brisbane, Sydney.
Scores.
Wow. Just wow. And last but not least, GWS and St Kilda.
This is a hyphen as well. Not feeling it.
There's no hyphen in that one. Goal kicking.
Can we put a hyphen? Goal kicking. Yeah.
Well, if Harry Himmel kicks that last goal, it puts him up by 18 points, I think it was. Right, goes straight back up the other end, turns to 6. Well, that cracking shot on the boundary. Buzz, tell us who it was. And they go ahead. So there was almost another choke. It's going to be interesting to see how St Kilda pull up after that game in the wet as well, too, on the hard deck. Maybe they've robbed Peter to pay Paul that week. Great win. How is it going to affect them against an all-rampaging Melbourne this week as well? Hey, it's not just the men's game, by the way. We're starting to get into the big stuff in the the AFLW. just checking out the ladder as you can see now, and I'll just get rid of the around the grounds there. It looks like the top 6 is settled. Brisbane, Collingwood, Adelaide, Fremantle, Melbourne, and the Kangaroos. It's just a matter now, I think, with one round to go, whether the top 5 if they're settled. So I think any of Adelaide, Fremantle, and Melbourne can go up to top 2. Brisbane, Collingwood, just looking from a percentage perspective, that's not going to happen. The only one who could probably go is Adelaide. But when was the last time you saw a percentage of 218 in an AFL game?
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly right. So
crazy.
They're the 6 clubs that are probably going to play finals. Carlton are going to miss it out. Brisbane play Melbourne this week. Collingwood take on the Crows. That's going to be a bumper for potentially second spot on the ladder. Freo play North.
I think the top 6 play each other.
Yeah, Kangaroos play Freo. Yeah, they do. Jamie Wallace, stop, drop, and roll, my friend. So, yeah, that could shape the positioning, yeah. Puff it. Smoking. All righty. So, viewers' questions. Any of you, what were the viewers' questions that came in after the week last week? Because you did put questions up. We had a question. We had a question of the week last week. Yep. We put that. It's a bit of a new thing we tried, and we thought, let's just go with it. And we've got one for this week as well. How did it go last week? What were the questions that people wanted to ask?
Okay, so to remind people, the listener question was, what are you looking forward to in the 2021 AFL season and why? So let's start with Donna. Yep. Donna said, a complete season with no cancellation, no COVID, just being able to go to the G and watch my boys, and finally unfurling our 2019-2020 flags. Go Tigers. Oh, and one more flag in 2021, and I'll be satisfied.
Yeah, don't be too greedy.
Wow, that was a feedback for Donna. So it's good to see we've got some direct 360 feedback.
Last year when I was wearing the Richmond jumper and beanie after grand final last week, that was Donna's stuff. So she is an absolute superstar, and her husband is an absolute legend, and their daughter is one of my daughter's best mates at karate as well too. So they're a cracking family.
Very good. What else do we have? One of our regulars, Joel Michael, looking forward to when the D's install Choco as coach and Ize as deputy and bounce back to make finals in the same year.
Oh, well, it's going to be a bit difficult now that if they beat the Saints this week, it's going to be very difficult, but it's going to make it harder. The more that we win, Goody's just going to be there a little bit longer. We're all not convinced just yet. We'll just let this one fold out. It could be a talking point moving forward.
And finally, we'll pick out Craig Gambetta has said, nice and sweet. I think a lot of people can agree with this one here. Hopefully, as little of a BT as possible.
Oh, God, he's annoying, isn't he? He really is annoying. Like, I thought he was good on radio. He just goes too far. The thing that I like about radio commentary on something like the ABC or whatever, they let the game breathe. So when there's a stoppage, they don't actually say anything just to fill the space. Yet on the footy, they feel that they need to. Just shut up. We don't care. We don't care about your radios and every other name and that you can roll out. We don't care, BT. Well, right? We just care about the footy. Just call the game as it is.
This week, we've got a new question we're putting up on Facebook page post this podcast. And it is, name your favourite player of all time and why.
Oh, jeez, I tell you what. Can I go with mine now? Mine's pretty obvious.
No, you can't. Peps, we let our guests go first and then we talk about it. So, Peps, for you, what was your 2021? What do you look forward to most in 2021? What are you looking forward to?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing Melbourne hopefully play finals. That's being very jealous. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking forward to a couple of those young studs that they've been in the system for either their first or second year to make an impact. But I'm also looking forward to seeing someone like Buddy Franklin potentially playing. I know he's there for next year, but I want to see him get back on the park because he draws people through. So it's those sort of things that I really like to see. You know, someone like Nathan Jones for the D's. He's got 5 games to go till he plays his 300th, or it's 8. It's 8 or 5 of one of the I just hope he gets across the plate and then we can set him off into the sunset. So those sort of things, I don't like to see.
So you want a gift? You want to gift him?
No, I don't think we can be in the position to gift, but I would like to see him get to 300 because he'd be only the second player behind David needs to be able to do.
Yep.
So, and you know what? One of my other big expectations was just to be able to go to the footy, and I've been able to do that. And you realise, if you went to a game on the weekend, let us know either on the Facebook page or in your iTunes review.
Yep.
There's nothing better than being there live.
For me, I'm looking forward to most in 2021. Heading back to Adelaide and watching a Port Adelaide game live. I really missed it last year.
Do you have to go and visit your parole officer, Jamie, or?
No, I'm looking forward to getting across there. The Porches Podcast guys have said they're going to host me, so that will be a messy night, hopefully.
Jeez. Could you see Jamie getting crazy with the Portress guys? Oh, mate, they'd be going off.
I might have.
I actually reckon it would go off, and we want to see video of that.
I might try and get myself in the hat, into the infamous hat.
Oh, if you get into the hat, I'll tell you what. If you get into the fedora, you could be a chance over there in Adelaide.
I don't buy one just so I fit in.
You'd be like the Port Adelaide Indiana Jones.
I don't think Craig will have me actually if I do that.
No, don't steal his thunder. It'd be like the Blues Brothers. It'd be like a scout troop.
I'm looking forward to taking Huxley over to a game to watch there. Now he's a bit older, he can understand what's happening a little bit more. And, head back across Adelaide just because I really like seeing what's going on over there.
Oh, have a look at this. Great. What a call. The first person to actually look forward to going over to Adelaide. They often say the best thing to come out of the Adelaide is the Sturt Highway. That's normally what they say. But you're actually wanting to get in.
Can't stop me.
Oh, we're not going to leave you. Alrighty. So, look, that I believe is the episode. But we have one last announcement. Over the last week or so, we'd been running a competition in conjunction with Sharon to win a Sharon football, an AFL game ball. And thank you very much to Sharon because we reached out to them and they were said, yep, we're happy to have you along. So, we had a pretty good response to it as well too, and I'm happy to announce that the winner of
drum roll.
The AFL Sharon Football for 2021 is
drum roll yet?
Yeah, drum roll. Are you doing it or me?
Oh, I can do it. Ready?
Yeah, you do it. Is James Cox from WA. Well done, James. So you'll be getting a brand new AFL game ball sent from Sharon to you in the next week. So for everybody that entered, thank you very much. It was overwhelming how awesome the response was. So we're hoping to roll out a few more of those. So stay tuned. Stick on the Facebook page. Listen to the podcast for when that's going to roll out too. So
were Sharon happy with us?
Was who? They were really happy with us. Yeah, they were fantastic. So I think it was a win-win. They had, I think they had 90 odd likes on their Facebook page, on their Instagram page from ours. So free traffic for them, and yeah, so. Awesome stuff too. I think it might even be a bit more still trickling in through too. So, look, that's the episode for tonight. Another cracking episode, another cracking week of football coming up. Just remember, listen to the sister show, Tipped Out. It's how you want your tips. Will be coming live to you short in the next day or so, hopefully before the next round of football. So, to everybody that's been on with us live on the Facebook page with us tonight, thank you very much for your interaction. For everybody listening on the podcast, for everybody listening on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get to listen to us, thank you very much. Most importantly, the co-host with the most, the main reason why I turn up every week is this guy, the Jamie, the J-Dog Wallace. Once again, my friend, I've got to ask you the question of all. Jamie Wallace, how do you want your footy?
Lace out, Peps.
Jamie, I want you lace out. Listeners, I want you lace out. Have a great week. Hope your team wins. And more importantly, good luck because football's the winner by having you listening to us every week.
See you, listeners.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on iTunes. I'm your host, Chris Pepper, and with Jamie Wallace, we give you your footy how you want it. Peace out.